The Institute is releasing the results of new 3 and 6 mile per hour bumper tests. These tests measure how well your car's bumpers protect against damage in the fender benders that can occur in everyday commuter traffic. It's not just the cost of the repairs that are a problem after a low-speed crash. It's also the inconvenience of having your car in the shop for days in order to get it fixed. Having poor bumpers can be a big drain on your time as well as your wallet. This is the Institute's new bumper barrier. We've shaped it to look like the bumper system on real vehicles. You can see this 4-inch tall section here. It represents the bumper of another vehicle, and it's got a plastic cover and energy-absorbing element on it, just as the bumpers on real cars tend to have those systems. There's also this backing plate that you can see here. This reflects the kind of structure that's above and behind the bumpers on real vehicles, so that when we conduct our tests, it's as though the car is interacting with the bumper of another vehicle. Now, to conduct our full overlap test, we mount the barrier 18 inches off the ground. Car bumpers are required to protect the area 16 to 20 inches off the ground. We mounted at this height to reflect the fact that car bumpers have to be taller if they're going to protect themselves against damage when they run into taller vehicles like SUVs and pickups. And also, if this vehicle is braking hard to prevent a rear-end crash, the front end will dive. By mounting this barrier a little higher at 18 inches off the ground, it encourages manufacturers to make the bumper bars a little taller, so we'll still get good engagement with the vehicle that's struck in front. None of these 17 midsize cars did a good job of protecting against underride and corner damage in our new low-speed crash tests. But 3 of the vehicles sustained an awful lot of damage. This Pontiac G6, for example, had more than $8,900 damage in our 4 impacts. Two others, the Nissan Maxima and the Volkswagen Jetta, had more than $9,000 in those same 4 impacts. These crash tests are just at 3 miles an hour and 6 miles an hour. This shouldn't happen. These 2 cars from General Motors, the Saturn Aura and the Pontiac G6, are built on the same platform. They even have the same bumper bar. But the Pontiac G6 is built differently. It has a sloping front end, and it rides lower to the ground for a sportier profile. This makes it more likely that the G6 is going to underride anything it collides with. And that's exactly what it did in our full frontal test with the bumper barrier. You can see that the bumper on the G6 has underridden the barrier, and our bumper barrier is pushed back in here, causing damage to the grille area. We have damage to the headlamps. We have a dented hood. We even have damage to the radiator and the air conditioning condenser behind the grille. More than $4,500 in damage. We compare that to the Saturn Aura, we see a very different picture. All the damage is confined to just the bumper system. It still amounts to $1,000, which is more than we would like to see, but this is much better performance in the Saturn Aura. Every one of the 17 midsize cars that we tested had damage to the headlamps and our corner impacts. Now, that's not hard to understand when you realize that most of the space out here on the corner of the vehicle under the bumper cover is just that, empty space. The bumper bars don't come out to protect the corner of the vehicle and expensive items like headlamps. In this Mazda 6, this is a $571 headlamp. The bumper bar ends right here. In our corner impact, this expensive headlamp became the bumper. You might think from the poor results for these 17 midsize cars that our new low-speed crash tests are particularly difficult, but they're not. This old 1981 Ford Escort went through the same 4 crash tests with less than $500 damage total. In our front and rear corner impacts, there was 0 damage. This vehicle was built when cars were subject to a stronger federal standard. Automakers know how to build better bumpers. They just choose not to.